Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good morning. Good day.
You can see that the weather's getting nicer, short sleeves. Bev has a tank top on
Yeah.
finally, but um, not to be a negative Nelly though, just saying every April we get a cold spell, and so enjoy the nice weather while we can.
Yep. Always. Well, yeah, because we're having, sunny days here. Everybody else or a lot of other places are not having such sunny days. And I kind of have like a little bit of laughter, but it's like Arizona is a good place to be. That's all I can say.
Yes, preach, sister, preach.
It's true. It's a true story.
My husband and I have contemplated moving, and it's like you can't beat the weather here. I'm just winter, spring, summer, whatever. Does it get a little hot? Yes. But you know what? We only have a month or so of humidity, and not like what they experience in other areas.
Yeah.
Anyway, we know y'all didn't come to hear about the weather. So Beverly, what's happening in your world?
What is happening in my world? Just always like good stuff. There's always seems to be a pattern with things. Right now, I'm focused on whenever I am doing anything, I'm quieting the mind, because if you stop and notice, your mind seems to be constantly going all the time. Mine always has. And I think a lot of people do, but it's the more that I slow it down. I say slow it down, but it's like the more that I just don't think, the more that I just am, or if I'm just doing something, which is always nice because that's when information usually flows in. That's why it's nice for me doing massage, because it's a distraction for me. So that I'm not, sometimes I am, but I'm more conscious about it. And since I have been more conscious about my mind, having a pattern of a thought going and then it starts carrying on and getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I kind of notice it early on. And then while I'm working on my clients, it's now that I've silenced my mind a lot, I start getting all kinds of images in, and I don't understand what all of it is just yet, but I don't have to know what it is right now, because it's just if this information's coming in now, just so I can say, hey, I can see information coming in. I'm working on someone and I start seeing a mask. I'm working on part of the body and I see an image from a movie that I've seen, and the person's got a mask on. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, I can go a million different directions with that information for the person. And because I've gone through the process of it, just thinking about what either it was someone that was showing up in their life, they think that's wearing a mask. But then again, it's like, then it comes back to us, because everything's a reflection back to us. And it's like, how are you showing up with a mask on? Like, what are you pretending like things are fine? Are you pretending, you know what I mean? Are you pretending to be happy? Are you, whatever it is. So it's like all this information, but I wouldn't have started receiving this information if I hadn't quieted down, which is even making my massages more exciting for me, because now I'm going in and I'm getting all this information in because I'm quiet. If I wasn't quiet, I wouldn't have gotten this information. So I'm just doing it more often. When I go to bed, a lot of people, we wake up in the middle of the night and we start receiving, or we wake up in the middle of the night. Let's just say that you had a dream and it kind of, maybe it hit an emotional trigger. So then you start going down that whole pattern of that emotional trigger and what happened, and oh my God, that was so hard. And then it's like, oh, I could have done things so differently, or I could have been this different person, or if I was just a better person, whatever it is that you're telling yourself. But I don't let it get that far, because I can recognize it now. There's such an awareness of it. And it's like all this information's right there. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to listen to this information, because to me, that's exciting. That's where my passion's at these days. I'm not only interested in the quantum hypnosis, the healing technique for, taking you into past lives and everything like that, massage, the fascia, like there's this stuff, but my passion is now, it's graduated from those areas, which I still have passion towards, but now I'm in this place where I can feel and hear. It's like the information comes in so many different ways, which we kind of talked a little bit last week about how stuff starts flowing in, how you can feel things, how you can practice with all your clairs.
Yeah. When I started doing energy work, this was even before I was certified in Reiki, just learning about energy work, because I had no clue what I was doing. So that actually made me be very present, because I didn't know what I was doing. Right. I'm like, what am I supposed to be experiencing? What are they supposed to be experiencing? I had all these questions going. So the only way I could answer those questions or get answers to those questions was to be present. And just like what you're experiencing, that the more I was in that space of being present, the more information that was coming to me. And it's one of those things. It's like, I'm in this person's energy for a reason, and that we're here for some sort of healing purpose. And it's, the information I receive, I perceived it as it's information about them. So, which would help me in not only in that energy session process, but in our conversation afterwards. And it was more of, I would utilize the information to like ask them questions or get more information, recognize how they're feeling with that without them actually telling me, through this information. So I utilized it in a very beneficial way in having a dialogue with them. Some things I needed confirmation about, like you said, like the mask. Maybe it is they're just showing up in life with a mask on. And that could be just something as a information for you to know as you're interacting with them, or it could be having a conversation with them about wearing a mask in their life, right? I mean, it's just however you want to use the information. But being very present was the practice. Because had I not learned to be that's how I learned to be present in my moment, and how to start reducing the mind chatter is through practicing the energy work with other people. And the more I did that, then I started recognizing how intuitive I really was. And I was like, at first it was a little scary, because it's like, oh, how did I know that? It's not just people asking me, how do I know it? I'm like, how do I know that? So, because I was just learning about all that stuff. So it was very, the way it's interesting, the way that we each learn how to grow and expand in our own way. Like it's like for each of us, the result is going to be similar, but the journey, how we get there, so different.
However they can get our attention.
Right.
They being our subconscious, our higher self, our angels, our guides, whatever. Because in all true reality for me, we're all connected. So it's all part of me anyway. So it's me trying to get my own attention, no matter what.
That's what I was going to hit. I knew there was something else I wanted to say about that when interacting with other people. And I've said this many other times before. It's like, I also know that in those conversations with the client, that's information reminding me with where I'm at on my journey.
Yeah.
And it's not enough that I already know the information.
Oh no.
Right? We have this huge, like we decided to call it toy box instead of toolkit. We have this toy box full of things of how we can move through our healing process. And then when we get into an experience, it's like we lost our toy box. I don't know where it went, and I forgot every tool I know, right? So
yeah.
So when I interact with somebody, like even Bev and I having a conversation every week, or being with a coaching client or energy session, the conversation I'm having with them is, like Bev said, it is a reflection. That person is showing up as a reflection, as a reminder, like I'm having a conversation with Bev, but I'm having a conversation with myself. It's a reminder for me.
And that goes to listening, like we've talked about, slowing down enough to be able to listen to what the guidance you're going to give somebody else. That was an easy way for me to present it to myself initially. It was like, what guidance would I give to someone else? And then you say toy box, and it reminds me to be curious like a child, right? So even during this massage, I got excited because I was getting all the, I mean, because that was just one of the visions I got. There were so many images coming in that it's like I couldn't, and they're like they're in a blink, and it's like it's gone.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's like,
fast.
yeah, it is. And then it's like and I've gotten stuff before, but it's like now it was like so much at one time. And it's like, okay, then I know that we can slow it down. But for right now, it was just for me to actually like wait a minute, I can see these images. But
Like,
at the same time, being curious like the child and saying, oh, I wonder what that means. Oh, I wonder what that is. I wonder what why is that showing up right now? Because asking those questions brings those answers, which brings me into the hypnosis stuff too, because I've got to be able to be the investigator when
yeah,
I'm in that place, because I'm guiding that person, you know, on their journey. And we want to get as much information as possible for them to heal,
yes.
for that person to heal from that session. There's just such awesome information. I was listening to Dolores yesterday, actually, and it was one of the times I hadn't heard this one, and I thought I'd heard a lot of them. She's talking Dolores Cannon, for those that don't know,
Yeah.
but she's talking about going into these sessions, and she's talking about cancer, and she's talking about anger. She said most often that cancer shows up as unresolved anger. It's anger that you're not allowing to release from your body.
Yeah.
So keeping like a prisoner in there, and it's like, it talked about forgiving people, and people are like, well, I don't want to forgive that person. They did these horrible things to me. With okay, they did, but it's like the one person said, he says, well, what are you, she's like, what are you angry about? And he's like, I hate my ex-wife. And he's like, you need to forgive her. And he's like, I can't forgive her. And he says, well, then he goes, because if I do, she wins. And Dolores tells him, well, if you don't, and you hold on to this anger and you don't release it,
Still wins.
you die, she wins, period. And
Right.
it's like, so who does it serve? And so she's talking about that way. And then she brought up two gentlemen. And I found this very interesting because it's, especially when anybody's in type of healing work, and it's not just healing work, because we're all trying to help people along their journeys. And sometimes we're helping them when they haven't asked for it, or because we know better, because we think we know better. But she's like going in and she's talking to this person, and the guy's like, well, I quit drinking, and you know, and he's just like, I just want to have this session. He's already talked about going in and having a shaman or whatever work on him, because his lungs were all black inside because he smoked all the time. And he makes it seem like he's not doing any of these things. And she gets him into this deep trance. And his higher self, his subconscious says he's lying to you. He's still drinking and he's still smoking. And we're not helping him anymore. We're not helping him anymore. Like your higher self, all your things that are around you are not going to help you anymore. They're not going to help anymore because we're here for free, on free will. We can make any choices we want to. They don't have to be good choices. We can make them. We can be mean to people and an asshole, because that was another one. And they're like, you're just wasting it. You're wasting a body. You just might as well go. We're done. Like, we're done with you. And she said it's very rare, but it happened twice around the same time. And for me, that's kind of, at some point, that's at a space that's like scary to think like, holy shit, like they gave up on me, man. Like, how scary is that? Like, that's it. I'm on my own. From a victim standpoint, I'm on my own. Well, fuck it. Maybe I'll just kill myself. I'm on my own. No, I'm on my own because I've been making these decisions because I continue to be a mean person and I'm not changing. I'm not evolving. I came here to do all these things and have not done any of them, because that's what they're saying to this person. And then to go back and listen to the recording of themselves with their voice, telling them these things. And one of the persons actually started changing, but it's like, it just goes to show you, if God, if your subconscious, if your higher self can't get through to a person, it's not to give up on that person, it's to love that person anyways. So that's just where they're at on their journey. Because if they can't hear those people, if they can't hear God talking to them, or if they can't hear the subconscious, what makes you think that they're going to hear you? It's like, why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to go out and heal everybody? So for me, it's like letting people know, you know, I'm a facilitator. I'm going to send lots of love and light, and you can be in that same space and you can choose to receive it or not receive it. It's your choice. It's like whatever you want to do in your life, it's your choice. It's just like for me, whatever I want to do, if I want to do all the things or none of the things, it's my choice. If I want to walk away from all of it and decide to do something else, that's my choice. Does it mean that I made the right choice? Well, depends on where I'm coming from. If I'm coming from a hard space, then I would say I made the right choice. But if I'm coming from a space like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm running away. You know, I hate people, or, you know, whatever that is, which I love people. If you'd asked me about 10 years ago, I'd probably said I hate people, but no, I love people.
Well, as you're saying all this, it really, I'm making a correlation, and it just is actually, it's cracking me up. So I've said this in my classes. I say it every class is, you know what? As a teacher, facilitator, coach, guide, I'm going to love you where you're at.
Yeah.
And you're coming to my classes because you want to make a change. And I can give you all the tools that I have. I could give you the whole toolbox, toy box. But what you do with it is your business. I can't make you do it. I say that.
Yeah.
Now, as you're talking, I'm like, no shit. Our angels, our, you know, source, divine, universe, they're sending us help all day long, all day
All
long.
day.
Guidance,
All day.
messages, signs, symbols, all day, right?
Yeah.
And then it's up to us what we do with it. It's up to us if we're going to be present in the moment to receive it. It's up to us if we're going to keep living in the past, to be pissed off and angry at that one person. It's up to us if we're going to be, if our head's going to be in the future and worrying about future events, not even going to happen, most likely. It's up to us. That's where our free will comes into play also, not only making decisions, but allowing that divine guidance.
All day.
So I mean, I can understand Dolores's perception and the way she was receiving the message that, you know, we're done with it. We can't, we're helping and helping. And he's not, well, it's the same as a teacher.
Yeah.
I can help all I want, but unless you decide to take action and do something with it, there's nothing else I can do. And I'll tell my students and my clients, I'm like, here's the information. Here's what's helped me. And what you do with it is your business. Here's what I will not tolerate. I will not tolerate you keep coming back to me with the same story, with the same struggle over and over and over again. Because if that is the case, either you're not taking action on your own healing process, or I'm not the teacher for you. There's a disconnect somewhere. And I make it very clear. That's like a boundary I have.
Yeah.
So I could understand the universe sitting there. Like, I get these visuals about the universe and they crack me up. It's like, okay, they have their bag of goodies for us, right? And they're like, okay, here's another one. Nope, she missed that one too. Okay, here's another one. Oh, she missed that one too. And they're just like, oh my goodness, we're just gonna do this all day long, and she ain't gonna get it.
It's crazy, but it takes responsibility off of you as a teacher too. And it's a good, for me, it's a good reminder. It's a good reminder. It's a good confirmation, because it's not up to us. It's not up to it. No matter what kind of work I'm doing, as far as being a healer, a facilitator, a guide, because we are guides. There's only so much we can do. And I feel like sometimes, because I felt like this in my life, I feel like a lot of times people are like waiting for something to be so hugely profound, and it could smack them upside the head and they still don't get it. Right. That's the thing. It's like, if you didn't hear the small, subtle stuff, how are you going to hear the big stuff until you start teaching yourself or training yourself to be able to hear that stuff? Because I couldn't hear the stuff before. Yeah. It was always there. I mean, I would occasionally, I've had people, gosh, probably in the last 10 years, I hear barely while I'm sleeping talking to me. And it's like, I'm like looking around, where is that at? And it's like, it was nowhere. It was right. And it was within sight of myself. Yep. So, I mean, all the stuff has always been there. We all have this. It's just like the empathic stuff. It's like, it's not, it's just another way of feeling things. Really. It's just another one of the clairs. And it's just being aware of it. And I've been learning how to use all these tools, just like I'm getting the information. All this stuff is coming into me now. I'm getting to learn to use these tools, this information that's now coming in, because we don't just get it and like, boom, because believe me, this is the way I think it should arrive. We get it. It's like watching The Matrix. You just put in a new chip while you're, down, you're in that space. So he's hooked up to a machine, but we're in meditation. I feel like that information could be uploaded or downloaded, however you want to look at it. I like upload into me that knows how to do all these things naturally. So I don't even have to think about it. But even still, if you ever watch The Matrix, even still, Neo still had to practice in that space a lot of those moves, but he just picked it up really fast. And that's really what's going on with a lot of us people, that we're noticing these things. And the more as long as I'm not creating a separation thing and, oh my, I'm just not getting this, forget it, I'm not going to do it anymore. Or, oh my God, that's scaring me. Whatever it is, whatever emotion it is, I'm just like a kid, because it's like, I opened up my toy box and I pulled this toy out and it's like, it is like glowing today. I am playing with this toy all day. So now I'm like playing with it all the time. And it is awesome, because I've actually had a few clients coming in now, and because I give them homework to go do something. It's not anything different than what you do. You give them homework, and if they want to do it, they'll do it. It's just like for me, if I want to do this stuff, if I want to find time to do the things that I want to do, I'm going to find time. I may not know how to do it right this minute. So that's a good example. This is a good learning for people, because I've been doing this lately. Like yesterday was one of the things that kind of had shown up for me, is like, I don't have freaking time. Like I've got Vivian, I'm gonna take time with her. I've got 6 dogs and I'm training, well, I've thought about training and I've done little tiny bits. So this morning I get out and go do it, but it's like, I'm complaining about this. And then I'm like, but I know all this stuff is going on. And I said, I can't even take 15 minutes for myself to do this fascial work that I'm learning about. That's free information. This is another teacher that I've encountering for myself. And they're going to give me the knowledge. If I want to take and do the homework and learn from it, I'm going to have great big changes that happens inside my body and feel so amazing. Like all these things are so possible for me. And it's the same thing. I'm not any different than everybody else. We're all doing this stuff, and I'm recognizing it. So then my comments to myself is like, I've got plenty of time and energy to do all the stuff, and I've got plenty of money. Like everything's fine. I don't have to worry about any of the stuff, because all of it kind of feels like it gangs up on you, and it doesn't. It's just like you're standing there in this space and you start throwing stuff on your shoulder, and you start throwing stuff on this shoulder. It's like, oh man, I got to carry this now, and I got to carry this. And it wasn't like that. So as soon as I said that comment to myself, within a matter of minutes, I'm taking dogs out one at a time, and because it only takes a few minutes at a time to do this. And have I done the fascial stuff yet? No, not yet this morning, but I will. So it's like I'm in this growth process just like everybody else, and it's just taking that time to do it. But the more that I do it, the more that things are showing up for me. That's so easy. It's so easy. But when I'm in that mind space that it's so hard and I don't have the time, then it's like it just piles up on you more and more and more. You can't climb out from under it with those kind of thoughts. There's no solutions in that space. There's sacrifice in that space, but there's no solutions.
Yeah. People, it's just like people who have eaten unhealthy, they've gained 50 pounds, and now they're unhappy with themselves. And now they want a magic pill to make that 50 pounds go away in a day, which would be unhealthy. And it's like with coaching and massage, when you're working with the body, we're working with the emotions, the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, how providing the guidance to help bring those into alignment. We would only have that information had we done it ourselves. So we can only help people to the point of where we're at ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's why any, I would say, successful or really good coach or teacher, mentor, they are constantly learning and growing within themselves, so that they have more tools more in their toy box, and more information, more knowledge to help even more people. So it is a continuum. And I don't think people understand that. Like, a doctor or somebody who's in the medical field or any field at that is like, for them to get better at what they do, they are continuously learning, which means I know I've forked out over $100,000 for my knowledge on my own healing, right? On my own healing journey. And now, because I've come this far, or even 10 years ago, I was still doing this. that providing that information and knowledge is similar to any other expert out there who you're paying to go see to help you through whatever it is you're experiencing. It doesn't matter if you're learning to be an artist or a teacher or a doctor or a healing journey. Doesn't matter. Somebody has to be more advanced than you in order for them to help you along. But the thing is none of us, like, you're not going to you didn't get your degree overnight to become a teacher or a doctor. You're not going to lose that 50 pounds overnight. So the healing journey, when you step on that journey, it is from now until I've said this over and over, is from now until you take your last breath, as long as you continue moving in that direction of allowing yourself to shed those layers of emotional heaviness. But you have to do the work. You have to take action on your own way of being.
Yes.
It's like getting that teacher degree. You have to learn all the aspects of being a teacher for them to hand you this degree and say, okay, now you can go teach some students. You have to be your own guide in your healing. So when you're ready, when you say, I'm ready for a change because my mental faculties suck, my emotional state sucks, my physical well-being sucks, I have very diminished spiritual connection. You are then asking and seeking for somebody who has more information and knowledge in those areas than you do with where you're at right now. And then when they show up to help and guide you and provide you the tools, what do most people do? I don't have time. It's too hard. No, I got too much to do. Now they're just completely put themselves aside. They stay with where they're at and continue to be miserable. That's not up to me or you and anybody else to fix. I'm not here to be a fixer. I'm here to shine a light. I'm here to provide the information that I know could help them. I can be a lighthouse. I can be a way shower. I can be all those things, but I cannot make anyone do the things that would be beneficial for them to do to feel better within themselves.
Sometimes I think that people enjoy themselves when they're in that space. And in the space of not accepting, do you know what I mean? In the space of what they know. And
Yeah.
I say that because recently I was doing something and I noticed it was about money. I was doing something and I noticed I was doing it. It's like, I stopped and asked myself, I think I actually enjoy being in this space. I think seriously, because and I'm getting goosebumps right now. I think I enjoy being in this space. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to enjoy being in this space, but I have desires for more stuff now. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I wasn't in that space. I wasn't pushing against this place where it's like, here I am again. Fuck, what am I going to do? Like, what? Like, why am I even here right now? Like, I've invested money and it hasn't taken, and it hasn't happened. And it's like, wait a minute, you like being in this place. You motivate yourself from this place.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way, but I was recognizing this is what I do and I enjoy it. Now, when I say enjoy it, it may not be an enjoy of I'm in a blissful, happy state. Clearly not, but it was a space. It was something I was familiar with. I knew how to handle it. It was a piece of clay that I knew how to mess with from that space. I could stay, and it was valuable for me. Even though sometimes it feels like you're kind of stuck, and it's like, I'm not stuck. I know that's not even true. I just know that I'm not. I can do anything. I can go anywhere. I can be whatever. That's old patterns of thinking. And so it's like these things come up, but it's like the thing I wanted to touch on was sometimes we enjoy being in those spaces and we don't recognize it.
Yeah.
And so we self-sabotage, but I was in that space of recognizing that I was enjoying it. Then I even enjoyed it more. It's like, this is a good space for me. I didn't put myself in a corner and tell myself to go think about what I'm doing. Cause look what you're doing to yourself right now. That's stupid. You're an idiot. No, I was like, I really enjoy this space right here. I was like enjoying it. Like then it turned from a blissful, then I'm turning into a blissful space. now I'm actually finding joy in it. It's like, yeah, but I want a lot more now. And I know how it feels to be this way. And money's always flowing to me. And I like to be able to go out and give to people, so it just took on a whole another outlook for me. It just looked so different for me, the whole process. And it felt good. So at that time, now I've taken something that normally I would have beat myself up with. I would have felt bad and walked away feeling bad still and stayed in that mind space, but I didn't. I actually took that space and put it into something else. It reminds me of, God, we used to listen to somebody, I can't remember his name right now, but he used to say stuff like when you're in a bad mood and you're slamming cabinets, man, I slammed that cabinet so good. Like celebrate yourself,
That was so
everything you're doing.
good.
Yeah, because then you kind of take yourself out of that space. You take yourself out of that angry space. Man,
Right.
I was a great asshole today. I was like the best asshole ever. I'm not good. So it's not like I didn't beat myself up, but it's like you celebrate those times. It's like, man, but I know it feels better. It feels better when I go out and I'm nice to people and I hold doors open and I don't respond to or react to them. I respond in a loving manner. There's
Yeah.
so many different ways, but without an awareness, you just don't know. You have no clue about this stuff. But I'm finding out what makes me tick. And I'm not saying this works for everybody else. I'm just saying this is stuff that I've noticed for myself.
Right. And I just 2 years ago, I think it was, maybe not even that long, I recognized something in myself about money. And it was okay. So I like puzzles. I like trying to figure things out. And one of the things, because I learned, this is something I learned from somebody else, was the rob Peter to pay Paul, right? The money, shifting money around. So everything's still working, but it's still stressful because you got to make sure all the components are covered. And I got really good at that. And I didn't recognize that. Now let me be clear. It's very stressful.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's very stressful when you're trying to figure out how to move your financial means around so that, this bill's getting paid and you're not getting a late fee. And then how are you going to correlate the next bill and then this is coming up and you got to make sure, right? So it was a lot of debt. And with that debt being the figure outer, right? Trying to stay ahead of the game. But it was stimulating in my mind because I was figuring out a puzzle. When I realized that, I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? And I realized, like, I enjoy puzzles and kind of like brain teasers and stuff like that. Give me something to think about. So, however, the stress with it all was, it was physically, it was affecting me and I knew it. Even though my mind was being stimulated physically, I was stressed and my body felt it. And so now, or since I've recognized that, now I had the ability, I had to change my mindset around that. And now I can use, now it's like, all right, how am I using my creativity to bring in the prosperity instead of trying to figure out how to stressfully place it, strategically place it to cover my ass.
Yeah. It sounds
So,
like you were solution oriented the whole time though, but you can have solutions or you can't have a solution without a problem, right? So you'd have to actually create problems so you
right.
could solve it.
Yes,
all
that's
the time.
exactly right. Yeah. Thank you for putting that way. Yes. I created the problem so then I could figure out a way to figure it out.
Yeah.
Isn't
Because
that crazy?
that's your natural, but it's not, but when you can witness it, it's so, to me, it's amazing because it's like, oh, I'm just solution oriented. So that's why you're in
Yes.
the position that you are, because there's always a solution. And when you're in a higher space, a higher above everybody else's stuff, not saying that you're higher than everybody else, but you can see things from a bigger picture, you're solution oriented, you've got so much more guidance to give someone else because that's your natural, this is like your natural drive.
Yeah. So taking that skill and applying it to the coaching,
Exactly.
right? And utilizing it in a better way.
Even for creating money, because look at all the stuff things are changing so much for you, even for the creativity of that, which was never really about the creativity of that. It was just guiding you back to, I'm solution oriented. This is a natural space for me. And I would say probably humans are, we are solution oriented, and you can't have solutions without problems. So there's always going to be problems. So there could be a solution always. That's the way it's got to be. That's how we evolve. You're evolution based all along.
Yeah. Solution oriented, creative
Yeah.
in our solutions, creating solutions.
But it's so true to everything. And it's like just everything. It's not limited to relationships or relationships with self, or now it's like you have knowledge about business because you've experienced businesses, maybe not going the way you wanted them to go. And then now how they're going, how they've changed, how you show up. You had made a comment about the person being angry or unhappy and gaining weight. Well, and then it's like they wanted to change overnight, right? Well, you got to find a way to be happy about where you're at right now. It's
Right.
like you put on that weight, and it's like anger just helped you put on more. It just helped you take on more of what you didn't want. So it's like that. It's like goes back to, there's so many different solutions. It's not just focused on the money, the weight, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the house. It's all right back to self again. It's all paying attention to self. And we've been guiding everybody this whole way just because this has been our guide. This has been my journey. This is how I'm feeling. This is how it's shown up for me. And it's fun when it's going great and I'm paying attention to it. And then sometimes it's not so much fun because I don't know, you get lost in the problem instead of being solution oriented. That's where it makes it such a benefit to sit down and talk to you or talk to somebody that is like on a higher energy. They can see things from a bigger space, from a higher space, because it helps with that guidance. The guidance is awesome, always. It doesn't mean that we know everything, but there's more information than a person can see, than I could see when I'm stuck in that problem area, than anybody. But all I can see right now is this. And then it's like Amie comes in and we have a conversation. It's like, oh, that's right. There is all this other stuff that's out here.
Yeah.
That's right. And believe me, I get into those places too, where it's like I just spend less time there. And that's the joy about this whole journey. We spend less time in those places of lack or need or whatever, because it's always right here with us. Always. I mean, seriously, it's always right here.
Well, what I've recognized too is like with the using the financial stuff as an example, is once I recognized my responsibility in it, when I took responsibility and acknowledged, oh, I created the problem so I could fix the problem, I can figure out how to fix it, then I can make a change. So I think that's important, that when, like you said, we want to acknowledge and take responsibility for our part in the situation. So, okay, I haven't been good with financial stuff, like finances. I don't eat healthy, so I'm 50 pounds overweight. I take in too much sugar, drink too much soda, right? So once we acknowledge, oh, this is how I've showed up in my own life and have contributed to this situation, now I can be solution oriented and say, okay, universe, I get it. I see where I showed up, how I've showed up. Now I'm ready for the solutions. And I'm also ready to make the changes that's going to keep me in a space of being more responsible, or more responsible for the way I'm showing up in my life. And I'll tell you, I'm a lot less stressed now because I'm not having to play that, move the money around and make sure things are paid. The money's there, I pay the bills. It's there. I'm overweight, I'm going to the gym, I'm eating healthier meals. I'm eating more healthy meals. Not every meal is healthy, but I'm eating more healthier meals, less sugar. So we have to play a role in our life if we want things to be different, if we want to make changes.
I like that. It's true though, because we do have to play our role. And it's easy when we're a kid that someone's always telling us what to do. And I think that's where a lot of us kind of get caught up and or we get lost in, because we're still waiting for that person to tell us what to do. But I can tell you right now, just like you've even said, if our higher self or if our self came and stood right in front of us and said, hey, you're going to be a teacher, or you're going to be a healer, or you're going to be this, I'll be like, yeah, you're obviously talking to the wrong person. You don't know what you're talking about,
Like,
and you're
what?
out of your mind.
There's somebody
Because you
behind me.
can't, because you can't see it from there. But the journey is, we've got this journey that we're learning all these skills, and it's like everything kind of guides you into this place. Now, I may think that I'm going in a certain direction, and it may totally change.
Yeah.
I've got all this information flowing in and different. Now I'm seeing things, and I'm more open to it. So I'm not. So again, right now I'm in this space in a lot of ways. You think about that, but at least I'm processing this now. I'm in this space. Okay, well, I got massage. I can work on fascia. I can do the hypnosis. I can do Reiki. I can do I can do these things. But it's like when I let go of the idea of those are things I can do, now everything opens up again, and it's like something else could pop in, and it could be totally different than what I expect, or it could be
Right.
another added bonus to what I'm doing. I know that it's always going to be helping people, because that is our main purpose. We are here to help ourselves. And by helping ourselves, we're helping other people. And we can't, if you would have said this to me, if I would have said this to me 10, 15 years ago, I'd have been like, you are out of your mind. Like at that point, I didn't have more to give. It's like I felt like I had family members that I felt like were constantly taking from me. And if I had any spare time, they were taking that. That was all down to me. That was me claiming my time. But I mean, there was all this stuff, and I couldn't have seen all this stuff. I could not have seen where I'm at right now. So it's like, for me, I got to be, the best way I can show up for myself is to be open and just hear the messages, let the mind be quiet. And we can do it all day long, all day. Because then we don't have a prejudice. We don't have a judgment. There's nothing there. If I'm listening to a conversation, I might have just a chuckle about it. It may be a serious conversation, but I can see it from a different perspective. So I can kind of chuckle about it. You know what I mean? Because this is like, oh yeah, I grew up from that kind of situation too, or, whatever it is. So it's like, it's like we've always talked about, it's just enjoying this journey, because it's constantly evolving. It's like, as we take one step, another space opens up, and we can look at it through this way, or we can look at it where there's nothing at the sides blocking our view, because it doesn't have to be. Then that's exciting.
And it's way more fun with this exciting stuff.
Oh yeah, because otherwise it's like, oh Lord, just put me on the meat hook and drag me on through.
Well, with being in business, marketing is a big deal. Marketing is like at least 70% of the business, because if nobody knows you're there, you have no students or clients. So, and it's word of mouth is marketing.
Yes.
But you still have to show up. You have to expose yourself in the sense of, here I am, this is what I do, this is what I'm offering, these are my skills, whatever that is. So every day I am doing some sort of marketing, every day, writing emails, posting on social media, phone calls, whatever it is. And at the beginning, my attitude sucked. Like, I want to write another email. It's just tired of it. I don't want to write a description for another class. Can people just go by the title? Like, love your body. What more do you need from that? But no, we got to write a whole description about what it means to love your body. What are you going to get out of the class? And what are the benefits? And just like, why? Time, date, price, title. Done. No, we need the whole shebang, right? So I had to change my mindset that writing the emails, the descriptions of the classes, the social media posts, that's all creativity, and we're creative beings. That is part of the journey. That is part of the joy of the business. It's a skill through your words to relate to people.
Well, it was grooming you all along to write your book.
Right. And that's where I was going. It's like,
oh, okay.
Now,
Sorry.
Now, no, that's good. Now, because you recognize that, you're like, well, duh, Amy, you're writing a
Yeah.
book. Well, now, yeah, I'm writing chapters in books. Like 3 books this year will have me in a chapter with multiple authors. And this one, so last week, I don't think it happened. I think it happened after we recorded last week. I signed up for a 3rd book that's going to come out in September. And I knew the main, well, let me back up. I know the person who is facilitating this book, putting it together, gathering all the authors. I didn't know the title of the book. So you're going to laugh at this. I didn't know the title of the book. Okay. And she's just, so it's The Wild Women, but there's more to it, right? But all she said, she sent me a text. She's like, hey, are you interested in being in the Wild Women book, the next book? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. I want to be in it. Let's do this. I was so excited. Then she's like, okay, well, go join the Facebook group. That's where we're going to be communicating, yada, yada, yada. I said, okay. It's the Wild Woman book of prosperity.
Nice.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard. I was like, of course it is. So I have to write a chapter about prosperity.
Because that's been your journey, right? It's
It
like
has been my journey, for
It
sure.
totally has. It's
sure.
so amazing to me. Like we all want this like illuminated path the whole way, but it doesn't come that way. It doesn't. Like I've had dreams where I was playing with and I understand this now. I was playing with electricity behind my sister's head. I'd like pull my hands apart. I'd hear this buzzing. I could see it was like a very vivid dream, very vivid. And every time she looked back, I closed my hand real quick and I open it and close it. And it's like the more I've learned about that, even recently, that was letting me know all along that I have healing in my hands, that I have healing to do. So it's just however I want to share it. And it's all along that journey, just along your journey, we're gaining confidence. We're gaining confidence in our skills. You're now not like when you put out this information, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, well, if you try to do this stuff, it'll work out. No, you've been working with people, and if they decide to do the homework, it'll work for them. But right. It's totally up to them. But you gained confidence throughout this whole process. That's all it's been. It's like I'm getting goosebumps. But we've always known, like we've had an idea, like you knew that you had these books, you had a book in you, and then this is only going to just bring you to the next place. And I'm telling you, when you write our, because you're the one that posts our stuff out, you publish our stuff. I don't do anything with it. I just show up and talk. That's it.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. So you show up and you do all the stuff, and it's like you do such great. Like when you put out our information and you put the headlights on it, or the highlights on it. Yeah. It's like, it's so very well worded. It's like even your emails. I remember you sending out emails before for classes, and I'm like, man, these are so good. I hope I told you at least one time that it was so awesome. But you do it so well, and it's only because the whole time you were grooming yourself, you were taking yourself on this journey that you didn't even realize, but you put so much effort into it. And then it's like we might have wanted help or wanted someone else to do it, but it's like if you would have had that, you would have lost that which you had gained during that process. So it's so wonderful that you did go through that whole process, and you do put stuff out there that is like, wow, man, I want to do this class. Like, wait a minute, I can, we've already talked about this, that I don't need to join the class. I need to get other people to go join your class or whatever. But because it's so good, but you've been grooming yourself. You've been facilitating this journey for yourself. You've just been open. It's like, even for this, like last year, you were saying, man, am I doing this? Is this the right path for me? Am I doing the right thing for myself? And it's like, then you like land into this year, like you just got off one ride that was like quite the ride last year. And then you jump onto this one and it's like, woo! Like, I don't even know where I'm going, but you're not trying to control it, and more things keep showing up for you. So it's just, the journey is fun. Like, we don't have to know exactly where it's going, And if you feel like you got to do something, like find ways, not for you now, I'm just saying this for everybody, find ways to enjoy that process while you're doing it. Just as myself seeing, well, I guess I enjoyed being in that space because I get motivation from that space.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way anymore, but I can be happy about that space. You can be happy about, okay, you may not have appreciated putting out those messages and stuff, having to do it again and again and again. You do now, you appreciate it now, but at the time, but I tell you, I appreciated reading them because I'm like, wow, this is so, I mean, it was so awesome. So it was like, it was this whole process. And then you got your book that's almost done. It's been almost done since last year.
But now I have 3 books I'm involved with now. So.
Exactly. But now you had to jump onto other stuff because this is advertising for your new job without you having to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you haven't done anything. You've done a lot, but without having to go through the publishing process and do all this stuff, you get to go through this process with others.
Right.
And it's what a freaking journey. And not one time and not 2 times, but so far 3, not to say something else isn't going to show up because it probably will, but that's all promoting you. That's going to be promoting your own book because now people are aware of you.
And what's amazing too is, we've talked about this, about growing up, that both of us, and I can speak on that, is that we've always hung out with the guys because, with the guys, you knew where you stood. They, if they have an argument, bam, done. Whether there's a punch thrown or not, they're friends afterwards and we're all moving on, right? And girls aren't like that, but, that's a whole nother conversation that we've had. To be in not 1, not 2, but 3 books that are all women who are all coming together to lift each other up, to promote each other, to cheer each other on, to go on this journey together, to have a best-selling book. That is incredible. I think that is phenomenal. And I think that the more we have that, the more powerful women are going to rise. Like, more women are going to step into this role of support instead of that clawing their way to the top or having to put one person down to make themselves look better. It's getting to where we're straightening each other's crowns without telling each other it's crooked and say, let's go. We got this. And I think, for me, especially, I think this is an awesome ride and an awesome place to be. And I'm meeting people that I wouldn't have met had I not said yes to just even writing my own book. I'm meeting people, I'm making connections all over the nation, in Canada so far. I'm just like, this is cool. It's just cool.
And we always talk about raising the women up. There's a lot of men that need the guidance too.
Oh, sure. For sure.
But with bringing our energies up, then we're going to be able to start, because we can see things from a higher perspective. Then we start pulling everybody up.
Yeah,
it is, because it's pulling of everybody up, because we all have this masculine and feminine within inside of ourselves, and most men don't know even how to be on their feminine side. They think that that's gay, or that's makes them weak, or there's so many different things, but it's like it just builds strength because there's no longer a duality within self. There's a unity. So it's like we're on such a journey that it's amazing, and it's got to start somewhere. So it's like it starts from inside, but then you're also, because you've done all the work on the inside. Otherwise, if you were in the same space that you were, as we were growing up in that space, because it was the same for me. I understood guys. Guys were easy to understand, but it's like they just were. It was just like whatever was on the surface, that was it. It wasn't like a whole bunch of conniving or manipulation or anything. Typically it wasn't.
Right.
So it's like it's been this whole journey. So we're all going on this journey. We all get to go. We're creating such a unity. And by you guys doing this stuff and coming together, even though it's women, is still coming together for all.
Right.
It's awesome.
It's bringing more of a higher vibration to the feminine energy.
Yes.
It's not saying like, oh, women are going to be empowered now. That's not what I'm saying. It's
no.
Feminine energy has been diminished for so long on our own part. right?
suppressed.
Ignored.
Yes.
We've
Yeah.
ignored our own feminine energy. We've stepped into
Yeah.
the masculine energy and had to prove ourselves. And so we've ignored our own, as females have ignored our own feminine energy. And I think, we're stepping into that. We're embracing it more. And there's so much more conversation about it. And there's so much more support, women supporting women, that that's bringing some balance or some harmony to the masculine feminine energies collectively.
Yes, absolutely. I
So
agree
we're
with that.
starting
100%.
to balance that out more evenly. It's still going to take some time, but it's awesome. It's so cool.
It is. It is. Because I find it fascinating, because I've actually had a few guys come in and they're like, you're so spiritual and you do this. I've gone to many other therapists and they're not even like that. And for me, it's like when a man says that, it's like, oh, okay. Because most of them don't even, I assumed that they didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff, that it would be more, maybe that's not for me. You know what I mean? But it's not like that at
Get into
all.
my muscles.
Yeah.
So tight.
Yeah. But it's awesome, because just like you said, it's stepping into the femininity. It's not the feminine energy. It's for all. It is for the greatest good of all. Really. It's it's an awesome thing. It's an amazing thing. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I mean, a woman supporting a woman here. We've been doing it for almost 2 years. This will be our 101st episode on YouTube, just so you know.
Nice.
Last week was 100 and I didn't even realize it to even say anything.
Which is funny, because we couldn't even start till 10:10. Well, because I saw my mom's
why
birthday
did you
was
just say
10:10.
that? Yeah.
Oh,
So share that.
sorry. Man, we're just connected. That's all.
Yeah. So share that you're 10:10. Tell them what happened.
So 10:10 is so we couldn't get on we first started to get on the Zoom today to start our meeting at 10 o'clock. Well, it was probably 10:01 actually when I got onto the thing, and it's like we couldn't hear each other. So then I had to shut my phone down all the way off, and then when I turned it back on, it showed me 10:10. I was like, oh, hi mom, because that was my mom's birthday. So then we got back on, and of course, as soon as we connected back on Zoom, we could hear each other just fine, no problems, and we got on. And now you're telling me it was 101. So I mean, the huge thing for anyone that's listening to this is like, go do some numbers. If this is catching your attention, you're hearing it, 10:10, 101. Those are the numbers. Go look up, see what it means for you.
And both 1 and 0, 1, 0, and 8 are all infinity numbers. They never end. So 1 goes in straight line, either direction, never stops. Zeros, right? Continuous circle. And so are 8s. They're just continuous 8.
So awesome cool stuff. It is.
And now it's 11:11. Which are manifesting numbers. So when you see ones consecutively, that means your whatever you're thinking about is coming to fruition like quickly. The more ones there are, the more amplified your manifestation is, or your thoughts are. So just be aware of that. So every time I see the ones, boy, I'm like, okay, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about prosperity comes to me easily. My business is growing and expanding. My relationships are amazing and fun and nurturing, right? So I just go into this whole story until the time changes, or until I don't see the numbers.
That's awesome. So it's all awesome. Like there's huge, it just matches up with where we're at right now. We're in a creativity space. We're in prosperity space. I mean, we really are. And being in this space is like, okay, how can it get better than this?
Right.
How can it possibly get better than this? Like, it feels so good. I feel so good right now. How can it possibly get better than this?
You're like, universe, I dare you to show me how much better.
Yeah, like I don't even think you can do it. Like, I just don't even think
this.
I don't know if it's possible. Yeah. It's like, I'm feeling good right now. I don't think so. I don't know how you can beat that.
And we're sober, just so you know. There's no, on my part, there's no alcohol or pot smoking or anything. It's all sober. So it's
I'm sober too. So this is me on a regular basis,
Yeah.
most of the time, not all the time.
So, all right, my friends, there you have it. Tea time with Amie and Bev. Thank you for hanging out with us. For sure, you could be anywhere else, and you chose to listen to us. So thank you for your time and energy. You can find us on many platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and Spotify. I look at Bev, I'm like, what else are we on? She's like, don't ask me, I don't know.
I just
Yeah, she really does. She shows up on Tuesday morning and here we are. And and it's all good because that's the important part. You can reach out to us through email. It's amieandbev@gmail.com. So we would love to hear your questions, comments, and of course we will respond to them as quickly as we can in our wonderful lives. And yes, we do have lives outside of this. So any last words, Bev?
I just say, hey, are you being quiet enough to listen? Like, spend this whole next week being so quiet. Every time you catch yourself thinking, just be quiet. Don't try to rationalize. Don't try to fix the problem. Don't try to do anything. Just be quiet and see what shows up for you. And when stuff starts showing up, start asking questions like a kid. This is your toy box.
Yeah. Be curious.
That's right.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever it is. We'll see you next week.
Bye.